My name is Akarere Henry, and I'm the chairperson of Pasifika By Nature.
Akarere, it's a real privilege to be talking to you this afternoon. 21 years in the making. What a proud moment.
21 years. Oh, it has been. And yes, it's tinged with a bit of sadness, but we leave knowing that we're in a position, or the communities are in a position, where there's amazing opportunities to take our culture and this platform, or this vehicle that we've used to celebrate our culture for young people, into another level. And so we're excited about that level of opportunity as well, and where that can go. So it's not that we're saying goodbye to young people or even to our culture per se.
Sure.
We're opening up a platform that actually is going to enable it to be even further strengthened, being innovative and sustainable, and just continuing to foster that sense of achievement of cultural identity. But I guess more importantly, the celebration of the vibrancy of our cultures, regardless of who, what, and where we come from, and continuing to foster that sense of belonging. So, yeah, there is a little bit of sadness, but actually there's also a little bit of humility about the journey that we've undertaken and the positioning that we now hold. And I should also say that although we, the trust, may not function in this capacity, it doesn't mean that we go away with all of the learnings and, to a certain extent, the blueprint of our event,
Sure.
of which is going to be freely available to whatever the next opportunity is for others. So it's not something that we will take with us. And they just need to communicate to the trust, and we'd be happy to share that blueprint.
When you think of, like you said, the journey, 21 years in the making, hundreds of students that have come through and, like you said, have really shone a light on the culture and vibrancy. And it's not just, the big centres, Auckland, Wellington, but here's South Waikato, Bay of Plenty, Hamilton, really showing what they've got.
Oh, most definitely. And, it would be fair to say that there is a certain hunger and ruggedness, within the regional communities. Hey, that's not necessarily prevalent in the bigger cities,
Mm.
And I just find our approaches to culture, certainly rurally, is much more organic because there's a higher level of resiliency, and our access to resourcing and natural resources and human resources is probably not as freely available as it would be in the bigger cities. So, yeah, I just think even with all of that, that this amazing journey that we've been able to come through has been one that I think has really showcased the actual quality, the expertise, and the knowledge and the learnings and the teachings that have come from this region in particular. And we're pretty world class, I might say humbly.
And for you, of course, putting together such a, huge event, that's not a small feat, is it? And it does require a lot of work that a lot of people don't actually understand what's involved.
Exactly. And, certainly we've had a very strong, committed volunteer base. But, there's certainly a few individuals that have begun the journey and still continue it today and will be with us at the end of this. And I do want to make mention in particular of Marata Matingo, or Ni Ford, whose passion has been unwavered. And even from the humble beginnings that Pasifika By Nature began with, in one of the intermediate schools there, to then progress the founders, and now to find ourselves in one of the biggest event centres in Hamilton and Claudelands, I think speaks a testimony of that level of commitment and, just absolute passion for our young people and our culture. And so Marata has been that beginning, that point that began this thing. So I do want to give acknowledgement to her. And along the journey, there have been many volunteers that both either served on the trust or on the actual event, and of course all of the amazing partnerships and funders that we have been able to secure, who also believe in the same dream and the hope that we have for our young people. So you're quite correct, Gladys. There is quite a phenomenal amount of work that happens in the background. So much so, it would be fair to say that we would run from events and we'd begin planning for the next event from the next year. So it had become a little bit all-consuming. And in fairness to ourselves, we really did self-review ourselves, in terms of where do we go to next, and are really comfortable with being able to support another opportunity for other groupings, because there is already a beginning of a movement, that is interested in looking at those types of approaches. And so, yes, we think we're in a good space to be able to support those up-and-coming groups.
And when you think of the feedback over the years that you've received from the students, from the parents who've been involved in this, it must be heartening to hear what this has done for people.
Well, certainly, that's always our intention. And so it does become very heartening and incredibly humbling when we have that level of feedback. And we know ourselves that many up-and-coming and already established leaders, young leaders in all of our communities, have begun their cultural journey with Pasifika By Nature. So, yeah, we are humbly proud about that level of achievement. More importantly, that culture has been able to be acknowledged and valued for its level of ensuring that young people can achieve. And for instance, within the education system, that we are now able to apply unit standards for various elements of Pasifika By Nature. So it continues to be a learning platform as well, that our young people are able to gain acknowledgement around things that are already inherently in them, but has also been acknowledged and valued for it in those entities that are kind of measure the well-being of our young people, that we can say that our culture is just as much important in the development of youth.
And tomorrow it's all happening, the final showcase, it's being dubbed. Must be excitement in the air, everything going according to plan?
Very much so, and I don't want to sound like that, we've got it down pat, because there will always be eventualities on the day.
Yeah.
But I guess if there has been a strength, is that there is always a contingency of the contingency of the contingency. And so I'm very confident that each of the trustees and champions that we have on the day are well experienced in their particular areas of management, and to date that model has worked really, really well for us, and being able to pull it all together requires a really quite committed and experienced volunteer base and group of champions, and we've been absolutely fortunate to have that continued level of support every time we've run our events. So we could not do this without this groundswell of support that we're honoured to be able to call upon at this time. It's interesting too that we've grown our base over the years of that volunteer grouping, which have been either students that participated and then went on to become tutors, of various schools, and so still want to continue to give back in that space, in that forum. And so, we just think, we got it right. The recipe worked, and I think we're really looking forward to having an amazing day. And I think there might be a few tears along the way, but won't be tears of sadness. It will be humble tears that, there is a sense of thanksgiving that we've being able to provide a platform where our young people can have it all through their culture and their celebration of who they are and where they come from. So culture is always going to be the winner on the day.
And finally, for you, on a personal note, what do you take away from this?
Well, I've been fortunate to have quite a few of my own family go through this process. And one of my grandchildren is who's at university is now coming back to one of the secondary schools and is going to be one of the changes within that grouping. And, you know, for me, that even though they have been through a process and enjoyed the successes, or sometimes not necessarily winning PBN, but being able to continue the value base of respect, of sincerity, integrity and care for those that seek after our culture as a vehicle for success. A little bit of a pat on the back that, she's doing okay. On a other personal, maybe a more of a professional note,
Sure.
It's really to be thankful for the level of partnerships, the sponsors we've had over the years, the funders that also believed in the same visioning. And I think when you can take quite an eclectic mix of people that have this amazing shared vision and aspiration and have made a journey of 21 years and still be there together at the end, I think speaks volumes for being able to work with a like-minded grouping of people who all brought various strengths and enabled us to be able to provide this event as we have done over the many years that Pasifika By Nature has been able to provide this stage. So I'm going to be looking forward to being able to stand on the stage and again, thank everyone for their commitment to Pasifika By Nature for the last 21 years.